Hello, welcome back to the ministry. Decided not to put my glasses on today, and today we are talking on putting your foot on the gas and letting God steer. This is actually something that I'm actually having a little bit of a difficulty with in this particular moment, because last weekend, the weekend that just passed, I believe it was Thursday and Friday, I was in intensive working 2 days straight. I was doing nothing but working, and I cranked out what I was trying to get done in that time frame. But right now I'm kind of in this headspace where I'm like, I want to put my foot on the gas. And granted, every single person that I follow is like, this is the season, you should be moving, you should be working, you should be doing, don't stop now, keep your momentum, keep your blah blah blah. But when you are a creative, you gotta have that understanding that sometimes the creativity ain't there to keep moving. I'm going to be transparent. My current place right now is understanding, okay, where do I want to go creatively with my social media? This is a time in the season where a lot of people are in a branding of themselves, and it's like, I see where my podcast is going. I see that there is a secondary podcast that I have. I even have this ministry, and I'm kind of sitting here trying to say, what am I doing to social media, and how am I doing that? Am I going to promote more of this ministry on social media? If so, where am I promoting it? Does the Lord want me just to reveal this yet in its infancy, or keep it to myself for right now? Where should I be posting? Right now I'm looking at my coach and listening to what she's talking about, and currently she's kind of giving off you need to be authentically who you are, and I'm like, okay, authentically who I am is a Christian that talks about God all the time. But I also am a creative. I also am a writer. I also write music. I also like food. I also am a cook. I also am a this. I also am a podcaster. I also am, you see where I'm saying? I have a lot of things that I do. I write scripts. I write books, fiction and nonfiction. I write formulas for treatments for music videos. There's a great app I use for that. I create beats. I do everything. And because I do everything, it's hard for me to culminate everything that I do in one and figure out how to speak that. I listen to a lot of YouTubers, and there was a YouTube influencer I was listening to that does a lot of social media influence. It's a couple of black women that I listen to, and one was talking about understanding to create your target audience. You need to create an avatar for the person in which is your ideal that does all of you. And I'm like, okay, I get that. And then put a piece of it here, a piece of you there, and a piece. But it's almost like, as we know as Christians, you are spreading yourself into pieces. You are cutting yourself into pieces. You are who you are in all places. Now, social media will tell you, you need to be one thing. You need to do one thing. But at the end of the day, you need to be most authentic with who you are. I am a Christian creative. Period. I am a Christian woman that is a creative that operates in multiple different areas and spaces. And because of that, I'm at a point of a crossroads where I'm like, how do I promote where I am and who I am right now? How do I break that down? How do I explain that? And how do I reach the people that need to be reached? Because I believe the only reason that I'm not making money right now is because I don't know how to articulate what it is that I do to the people that need what I have. And that's preventing me from putting my foot on the gas to be able to really run in this thing. Because I could sit and mindlessly write 9 posts about anything, or completely follow the grid, in which I always follow my grid. I can follow my social media podcast episode, sequential episode thing. I can do that. But I can sit there and I can be authentic with what I'm saying. I can give you some real stories. I can go on the LinkedIn. I can do all of these things. But I need to find the passion within me to put my foot on the gas in these areas, and the why I am doing this is where I'm at. Why am I going to sit and write 9 posts on social media? Because I have enough to say in 9 posts on social media today? Or because I'm just trying to follow the systematic routine and batch a series of posts to be promoted? Literally just in a prayer where they were talking about distractions. Devil, steady busy, steady busy, steady busy. Point being, that can also be a line of alert to pay attention to what I'm saying. Okay? This I learned from another pastor. She said that anytime you hear sirens or alarms, 1, it's a notification of a warning. 2, it's an alert. 3, it's a form of something that you need to pay attention to. And right now, what I was saying was understanding that thing that I needed to put my hands to right now in this social media realm. Because at this particular point, I'm not where I'm going to be, but I still have to operate where I am until I get where I'm going and understand my next assignment. And I have to prep what I'm doing in order to keep putting my foot on the gas. So with that being said, if you're a business and an entrepreneur and your mindset is that you have the tendency to be very meticulous, you have to plan everything out and have a plan. Nothing can go without these plans and everything being in place in perfect order. It can be difficult to get started, to work, to do whatever it is that you have to do in order to keep and continue to operate in what it is that you are seeking to get done in this season. Because we are control freaks. We take pride, and pride is not a good thing to take in, having that control. But when we are a child of God, you are walking in faith and with the Lord, and you have to step back and allow Him the ability to drive the vehicle for you. Because our plans are not our own. Our ways are not His ways. Our thoughts are not His thoughts. Our decisions and desires are not exactly what He may want or desire for us in that particular time frame and or season. And because of that, things must operate in a specific way. God had to train me in these certain things in order for me to go forward in them. Headband is stretched. I'm a person that likes to consistently work and to keep going, to keep forging through, forge through without sleep in order to make sure that I get my work done and completed. And I am faster, so that's not a problem for me. As I said, last Thursday and Friday, I was working on a major project that I actually was working on 3 things at one time. I had gotten an idea for something that I needed to plot out 3 cards for to give me the visual map for what it was I was creating in 3 different ways: external, instructions, and internal workings. Then I needed to plot out the mock-up for what it was. I got through the amount of work that I wanted to get done with that in that first day, meaning getting those first few panels completed so that it was in order. And I'm glad I was able to do that, because by the next morning, God gave me wisdom as to how to arrange it so that it was operational for what it was that I was trying to create, for the multiple layers of the development of what I was trying to do. But I not only had to create that, I had to record 2.5 hours worth of content for a bonus video of one of my courses that I had not done, and I had the time to do it that day. So I was like, let me record this right now. So I recorded that, got that completed, and the courses together and up on the other page. Then I was able to, the next day, go in, change the interface for each image that it matched up for the interface of the way that each integration would work, so that when you clicked through, it operated appropriately. So I now have the mock-up for what it is that I want to do. But that's still the mock-up. I have to, if I desire to, I have to go into the application site and create the interface to do each and every single one of these layers. That's a lot. And I have to do research in order to do that, to make sure that I'm creating the interfaces appropriately and linking them together properly. That takes a little bit of research, takes a little bit of work in order to get it operational. But I also am dealing with the understanding of what it is that I want to do now that I have that. What is it that I'm doing in order to make sure that this is capable of happening? I gotta do a check after I get off of this one. But this is the way that I operate. And I didn't go to bed that first night until almost 3 o'clock in the morning, because I wanted to make sure that I got that interface done. And I was consecrating, and because I was consecrating, I was trying to make sure that I used that time wisely. Then the next day, after I crashed behind that, I got up, I worked straight up till 6 o'clock in the afternoon, forged through, didn't take no nap. And then at that point, my brain was like tired. All right, now after that, I'm in this spiritual space of gaining wisdom, clarity, and direction for my next phase. But a lot of people are in that phase of what to do, what should we be doing, put your foot on the gas, don't lose your momentum, don't lose your da-da-da. As children of God, let me tell you something, and let me let you know this very quickly. As you operate as a child of God, God will give you wisdom, downloads, and the thing in which He wants you to create and do. But in Him showing you and giving you that wisdom and direction as to what He wants you to create and do, He is going to give you a moment of pause. Okay, run. you run a marathon for 2 days straight on whatever it is which you're supposed to be working on, then you're not in a rest. You are actually, well, technically I was in a rest. I was in a rest for 2 days, and then now I'm in another run for something different that he's got me involved in spiritually. So I'm running with that, and it's an intensive, and it's spiritually intensive. And because it's spiritually intensive, none of my work is getting done, meaning the actual business related stuff that needs to be taken care of isn't getting done, meaning the social media posts aren't getting done, and the other things aren't getting done, because I'm so spiritually connected right now that work is not a necessity. But while I'm doing my spiritual work, I'm getting clarity on what should be done with that. That is the perfect example of what I'm talking about here. That because things we do as Christian people, we think that we can make things happen. Something goes wrong, we immediately get on the horn and start making things work. Because people believe faith without works is dead. But sometimes you got to stop and ask yourself, would you like for me to work this out, or you got this? Sometimes the response is stand still and know that I am God. I literally saw this quote yesterday because one of the young women that I'm involved in something with right now, she posted. I was like, oh, and a lot of people have been saying that, and I said that in a video the other day. But because God does this, that we have to operate in the ease and the flow. Wow, God, how did this come together so smoothly? Because we took the time, we worked, we completed that run, we rested, and then we got spiritual instructions for our next run. But when you let go and let God do it, He will take you where you need to go with such an ebb and flow that you will look up one moment you were doing this and you were supposed to be wondering, you're where you're supposed to be wondering how you got there. God did it. But you have to let go and let God do it. That's the one thing that the enemy will fight you on the most and the hardest, because of the fact that he wants to cause you problems, because as long as you are out of position and out of trusting God, and you must start trying, what he wants you to do is for you to start trusting yourself and do the work in operating in fear and frustration. You get out of position and God can't bless you till you take your hands off of things and give it back to Him so He can finish it. This is 100% true, because what happens is we have a momentum, and it frustrates us when we're running. Think of a runner that's running at a very specific pace. When you are running at a specific pace, you have a tendency that the pace in which you are running, you want to keep that momentum going. But what God will do is stop you in a dead halt and say, stand still. And you're like, wait, but I was running, we was going, and everybody's passing me. Why am I sitting still? Stand still and know that I am God. I'm telling you to stand still for a minute for a reason. And you feel like that person that's running a snail race. I used to actually, when I remember being in high school, and it's sad to say, God, I can actually say I remember being in high school 2 decades ago. Oh my God, I'm getting old. I remember 2 decades ago being in high school and running the track. I was not a track field runner, so don't even think that. And what would happen is, in order for me to make it around the track, I had to run, then walk every quarter mile, or every quarter of the track. The track 4 laps was 1 mile. In order for me to make it around that track for that full mile in the hour in which we had to run it, I had to run a quarter of the track, walk a quarter of the track, run a quarter of the track, walk a quarter of the track, run a quarter of the track, walk a quarter of the track. And I used to wonder, and I would see everybody running around me in circles, and I'm sitting there like, what in the world? But that's the way that God works. He will have you run a quarter. Stand still, know that I am God, and you must walk with Him through the spiritual clarity and direction in which He is giving you. As you rest in that moment, then you run again that next quarter, then you stop, then you run again. And this is the way that God operates. Because you have to allow God to stir you, to give you the gas that will always end up where you are supposed to be. And it is where He is taking you that things done in your own hands will never end up in the right place. So, know this, with every level, there's a new level of elevation, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And you have to walk through that new elevation. And God will give you wisdom. He will give you guidance. He will give you direction. He will give you what you need. Clarity. But you must walk with Him in the way in which He desires for you to go in that time and time frame of that season. And it may not feel good to operate in that season. You may feel like, well, God, why do I gotta do this? God, this is not. God, what are we doing? Everybody else is running circles around me, and I gotta run, then walk. Run, then walk. Run, then walk. Sometimes I have thoughts. You see, there is an actual walking path out there to go over in that little park, and I used to go in that park, but there's a lot of insects. But I've been thinking yet again, should I start going out there and doing a nice walk and or run, jog? Because what I've learned is, if I want to keep pace, I can do run or walk. Or what I can do is I can do a power walk where I strengthen my legs and move at a glacial pace, walking fast. And the more my legs strengthen, the faster I move. But it does take time. And some of us don't like to take the time in order to operate in that glacial pace. But we're coming into a season of acceleration where that glacial pace is necessary. You may not run walk, but God will put you in that glacial pace that is necessary, that you will speed up over time. And He will pace you so that you do not run out of energy, so that you may run your race, rest, reset, recalibrate, and start running again. But this is how you have to keep moving, because you're not running around a track. You're not running around a little park like that. You're running a triathlon. When you are operating in the things of God in the multiple areas and arenas that He's got you going into, you're running in a triathlon. And because you're running in a triathlon, you have to operate like you're running in a triathlon. Meaning you have to understand that you're going to be going, you may run for a period. Then you may bike for a period. Then you may swim and flow. But each in between, you got to pace yourself for each of those levels and understand how you have to take care of yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit, in order for you to hit the gas. But you got to know which season you're in whether you're in I'm power walking this season, whether you're in I'm a run, whether you're in I got a bike this season, whether you're in I'm moving at I'm a swim and flow through this season. And you got to be able to operate in that, because that's the way that you have to hit the gas. Some people, they operate while driving their car. It's the same thing with driving your car. In certain traffic, you have to slow the way down, and you have to travel at the pace of the pace cars. Then you begin to speed up. Then a stronger driver is going to revert around these people and go to a lane that they can drive at the pace in which they desire to drive, and they either become the pace car or they operate in a field that they can flow in around the normal group of people. And then they get to that area where they are the pace car and they're flowing, swimming, doing whatever it is in the main group, out ahead of everybody. And that's what we do as Christians, as leaders. We must find our way, get our pace, get ahead of the pack, and lead. I don't even take credit for that. That was my coach all the way, because she's one that actually drives. I'm a walker, so I can tell you how to walk and run, but she can tell you how to drive. So understand, you can hit the gas, but in certain seasons you have to step back, let the Lord lead, let God guide you. And the way that the Lord works is He gives you the plan, He tells you to rest, then He tells you to run. And that's where I'm in right now. I'm operating in, He gave me the plan, I executed it, I rested, and now I'm in a different kind of run, which is preparing me for my next physical run, so that I may flow into what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. So I hope this blessed you. This is Todd McCameron for the ministry. Until next time, bye-bye.